very pertinent to the problem. But I work for a while with Brian and Viv on some of the tests for jasmine tests for the container controller in Cordelia.
Uh-huh.
And can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. And so he basically put this 6 tests pending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I wanted to play around with, you know, how we do our usual debugging on the console. And I was getting all kind of errors like this. And that's what I sent you in the Dropbox. And I was confused because Jasmine seemed to be running, but I don't know what else is happening in the background by which I cannot debug anything in the console.
Is this actually causing an error, or is it just like a strange message you're worried about?
A strange message that I'm worried about.
Okay.
This is the code that I'm working on.
Let me open the project, I guess.
The branch is IDE Reborn.
Oh. Oops.
And also I was having problems in the inspect element in the resources to be able to put the breakpoints.
Alright, let me see if I can look at the first thing.
Yeah, let's go one at a time.
Angular.js, and we need right, it doesn't find that. Does he have it in the vendor JavaScripts? Oh, it might just be yeah, okay. Okay, it's just a typo.
No kidding.
If you go to jasmine.yaml, and you strike the S off of angular routes, it'll be fine.
If I go to YAML, Travis YAML.
You need to look in spec JavaScript support. That's where you're going to find jasmine.yaml.
Yeah.
So yeah, take the S, make it angular route, min.js.
Okay. And let me. Okay, so look at this in. I guess that will take care of it. So.
We'll refresh it and make sure.
Yes, sir. Yes. Now look at this. So I see all the exceptions in here, the pending. And then if I go to here, or maybe that's the reason why I was. See, I've seen you doing this, that you can put the breakpoint right next to the number.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot.
Right click. Try right clicking in the body.
Yes. That's exactly what I said. Am I in the right place?
I would think so.
Unless you went to sources, or no. This doesn't look like that's where.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That does look like the right thing. Yep, that's what you need.
Okay, but in here I don't see. I
Pop
don't.
open assets.
Huh?
Yeah, and there. There you go.
No, I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't see the specs in here. Open the Jasmine directory. Or no, actually not the Jasmine directory. The spec Cordelia IDE directory.
The Cordelia ID directory.
Open all the directories.
Oh, in the same. Okay.
Yeah. In the browser.
Yeah, it'll open.
There it is. Container controller spec. Yeah, that's all the JavaScript you need.
Cordelia IDE.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
You can open that up.
I was looking for the oh, I see what you mean.
Open the Cordelia IDE directory.
There you go. Container controller. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference between? See, I wasn't sure whether you were in sources or resources. What is the difference between these two?
I don't know. It's just something specific about the dev tools. I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, Johnny. Cool. And one final question before you go. I need a little bit of guidance on lines 5 through 7.
Okay. Let's just pair program in this right now. Do you have 20, 30 minutes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Let me get my charger. I need to plug my computer in. I'll be right back.
Want to go outside? Want to go outside? No.
What? What? I didn't have anything plugged into it. Alright, I'm back.
How is the move to New York going?
It's going good. We have a place.
You found a place?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
Where? Near
Uh,
Marion's? Or?
No, we have to live very near to the hospital where Jenna's working.
Okay.
It's in Paramus, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's not very far from Marion, but it's not like same neighborhood.
okay. And did you find a job, or you were interviewing, right?
Oh yeah, I had an interview today. It went okay. It didn't go as good as I hoped though.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, at least you're getting your feet wet, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Just get in there, interview.
Yeah.
What did they ask you in the interview?
They asked me a sort of easy question.
Okay.
Here I'm gonna type something in the chat. How to take an array of strings and actually, let me just show my terminal. I still have it open in my terminal, I think. Maybe. Uh,
Did you do the interview via Skype or?
yeah. Well, actually, we started in Skype, but I couldn't figure out how to do screen sharing in Skype because I couldn't. Skype is different on Ubuntu, and I couldn't find the option. So we switched to Google Hangouts.
Okay.
It's probably in here. But anyway, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
They wanted me like to take an array
All right.
and of words and return the same array with all the words written backwards. Wasn't too hard. But then they came up with a JavaScript question, which was like having to deal with scope, which I found pretty difficult. I showed Brian it in a paste bin. Here it is. He was like, explain this to me. And I was like, well, it's pretty much the limit of my JavaScript knowledge, but I was able to at least explain that even though I couldn't explain exactly how the implementation worked, that he was looking to keep the binding of this. There's a good article on this that I'll post in the chat too.
Now I almost see it. Eh?
I'm just putting it in the chat.
Okay.
But JavaScript does this thing. Yeah, this is a really good article, and if I had like read this immediately before the interview, I would have done a little bit better. I had read it a while ago, but basically, the thing with JavaScript is when you make a function, it has a reference to its parent that can easily get lost. Like the parent object that you've written it on, you often refer to it as this, but when you pass that function elsewhere, since in JavaScript, functions are first-class citizens, you can pass it along, and then this will basically break and reset itself to be pointing, instead of at the original object that it came from, it will point to the global object, which
I see.
when we're doing it in the browser is window.
Okay.
So I knew that much. I knew what they were trying to do with that, and basically force it to bind to the object that it was written in. So at least I got credit for that. So, but
Ooh.
like I was like not nervous until it came time for the question, like to actually like code something. And so that, like my first iteration, I had like a pretty ugly way of doing it, and then he was like, "Well, wait, why don't you use split?" I was like, "Oh, you know what? That's perfect," and I made it way better. But like it wasn't bad, but I didn't like rock it. So
I see. I see.
yeah.
I see. And normally, if they're interested, they call you a second time?
Well, I actually did this through a recruiter, so I'll probably hear from the recruiter tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I would honestly, I'd be surprised if they pick me up, just because I think they could, just by interviews. There's probably going to be people that have done a better interview than me, but I
Yeah.
don't feel bad if I don't get it because
Right.
it's
That's
still
fine.
good practice. And now I've got
Yeah.
like this was a more involved interview than I've ever had.
Okay.
And so next time I'm in this situation interview, I think I'll be
Yeah.
less nervous.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? I think the JavaScript would not be a bad idea to brush up a little bit on that,
Yeah.
because even though you're interviewing for Ruby on Rails, but I bet you that most of those people want also to know whether you know JavaScript or not,
Mhm.
because it's such a, it's everywhere.
Yep.
So, it wouldn't hurt to, brush up a little bit. And I mean, with your background already, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay.
So how many interviews have you had so far?
Like real interviews that are with actual developers and not with only HR people. I've
Right.
done 2 companies like that,
Okay. Cool. Just
and both
keep
times it was
plugging.
2 interviews.
Yeah. Good.
So
Good. Are you looking at what is your what engine are you using for the search?
indeed.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
You gonna sign that? Yeah. Okay. Do you need to go over it with me?
Not as long as you can read.
Okay.
You just sign it on there tomorrow.
Okay. Are you going to bed? I finished the book without you. I did. Now we just need to wait 3 more years or whatever for it to come out. Alright, let me pull from upstream, or from, actually I think I already have it. Do you want me to share my terminal with you?
Sure.
Okay.
By the way, my Yared attempt completely blew up.
Oh yeah?
So yeah. So
What did Brian say about it?
I haven't talked to him today. We were just doing the test, but I'm gonna have a hangout with him and redo it again.
Okay.
Because it didn't work very well.
Hmm. Alright, there's my teammate. Alright. Uh, W equals.
Cool.
Okay. So, have you had a chance to play at all with Vim?
No.
Okay. So you were asking about lines.
Basically, I wanted to look at uh, this jasmine is a little bit over my head right now because I'm basically understanding basic things. But I just wanted you to give me a little bit of you know, let's have a chat over the code.
Okay. Yeah. So were you interested in talking about this function in particular, or did you want to just talk about all of it?
Well, maybe we can talk about one, the function, and maybe we can resolve one test.
Okay.
You
Let's
know.
do an
By the way,
overview.
when you put X on Jasmine, it makes it pending?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do an overview of all of it really quickly, and then we'll focus in on one for a certain test.
Okay.
So, so if we're looking at this function here, um, some of these functions get called from like automatically, uh, and that has to do with the directives, and that's a little bit of Angular magic that we'll not care about right now.
Right.
So we'll just say that this function gets called sort of magically, but either way, what it does is something that we're defining. And
You're looking at line 35?
mhm.
Okay.
So the important part, like these arguments passed into the function,
Yeah.
are sort of static. One that we care about the most is element,
Yes.
and that's a place on the page. And what we're doing is saving that to scope is sort of like the global variable inside this whole controller here.
Yeah, okay.
It's important in Angular because scope is the magic glue in between the controller and the view. It's like this shared space that they both have to talk to each other.
Okay.
And so when we do something like make an attribute on it, we're making it available for all the controller and all of the view.
Okay.
I don't even think we use it in the view, but either way, it's sort of like the thing that we stick everything to. So we're taking element and we're calling it preview on the scope object.
So we're taking element. Okay.
Yeah, the way JavaScript works is you can just sort of have an object, which is in JavaScript, an object is this, just a hash,
Yes.
right? And let's be correct and say var object, put a semicolon, and then what we can do is go object dot. Let's just use the same word, preview, equals hello, and that's the same as doing var object equals
Hello.
preview colon hello.
Yes.
So just so you understand that this
Yeah.
objects are just like hashes
Yeah.
in JavaScript, and so you can just automatically make a new key on any hash, just sort of like you can in Ruby, although the syntax is different.
Right.
Because in Ruby you actually need to use the hash syntax,
Hash
the
bracket.
square brackets and everything, whereas here you use the dot notation because we call hashes objects and we treat them sort of like objects. We elevate their status. But both of these lines 37 and 38 are the same as line 39.
Yes.
So, as far as we know, scope is empty. I mean, it maybe is, maybe isn't, but it's just an empty hash.
Yeah.
And then when we say .preview, we're setting a key and a value on it.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, we're taking that from the function and saving it to that global object scope.
Yes.
And besides there being pieces of information saved on an object, you can also save functions into an object.
Okay.
And so this next line is calling the update editor command, which
Okay.
Where is that defined? Scope.update editor. I'm actually a little bit unsure. We have update editor, initialize editor. I
He
see
did.
initialize editor. Oh, they're up here. Okay.
Yeah, he did some work on it today. So
Yeah.
I don't know how how far back you were. You were on the chat yesterday or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's calling this function update editor, which is up here.
Okay.
Which isn't going to do anything unless you have both of the things in this if block, or if conditional. And you
Okay.
know you have the first one, because we just made scope preview. But
Yes.
scope editor needs to have been made by another function somewhere else. So if you don't have both of those, it's not going to call the next command.
Okay.
I think we should actually talk about what scope editor is. I don't know why he initializes it as an empty array, but scope editor gets set in a couple functions. This is another one of those magic functions, set editor, that gets called automatically by Angular magic.
Okay.
And again, the important thing being passed in is the element.
Okay.
And now we're also dealing with another JavaScript library called ACE. And
Okay.
that's the tool that we're using for the IDE, the in-browser IDE. And so he basically sets up a couple commands by calling to ACE, and the first one he has to do is call ace.edit with the element that is passed in.
Okay.
That sort of sets up that little editor window on the bottom.
Yes. Cool.
And then he calls initialize editor in here, which basically, here's the important part where scope.editor is defined.
Okay.
That's another one of the important things defined on scope.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, it's not defined there. It was defined here. I'm sorry.
Right.
Edit was the one that defined it. But
Right.
once he sets that, he uses this method just to take care of all the other setup that you don't really have to understand, because this all has to do with the ACE library. All these defaults that you have to set, he does in one function. And then the next thing that gets called is update editor, which is, now this is where I was just a moment ago, where we have this conditional, where preview has to have been set and editor has to have been set. If both of those exist, then there's a call to the editor called
to set a value, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Which basically copies the page's HTML out of the editable section into the editor.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. All that in $scope preview.html.
$scope preview.html.
Line 13.
Yeah. I mean, that may or may not be a lot of code. It depends what you set the preview to be. Like in the case of how it is now, it's capturing a couple lines of HTML that we have wrapped up in a certain Angular directive.
All right.
That is capturing it.
Is that, John, in the browser, the window where you can, do you have the browser open by any chance?
Yeah, we can actually open a version of it. Let's go to... I actually saved a copy of Brian's deployment in the project Cordelia.
Because I opened the browser earlier to try to understand, and I was a little bit lost in there because, I didn't know what to do with the HTML. I mean, I didn't have any, there was no preview, for instance. I didn't know where the preview was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm mistaken, I don't know. But since we're at it, we can look at it.
This is Brian's Heroku app deployment of that page. It's probably not the most up-to-date one, but it still has what you're looking for.
That's what I was, okay, all right.
Yeah.
You put yeah.
So I'm going to pop open DevTools here, and I'm going to find I'm hoping to find the editable region. Oh, here it is. I don't know if you can see my screen.
I do.
It's going to be sort of small, but I just opened up the source for the entire page, and you can see that I'm not very far down.
Yes.
But he's got a div.
Yes.
It's the Jumbotron div.
Yes.
And it's got this attribute CDL editable.
Okay.
And that's defined elsewhere as a directive that when you say that, it's going to call the controller in a certain way. In the certain way, in fact, that we were talking about at the beginning, the make editable command out of the controller that sets the preview.
Yeah.
The preview is just another word for the editable section.
Okay.
So basically tags the Jumbotron as the place that Angular is going to be doing its two-way binding. And reading, well, because of the way we define the rest of these functions here, reading in the HTML to the editor, and then letting the editor change the HTML and reading it back into the preview, or the editable region.
Cool.
So yeah, there's all this stuff doesn't do anything unless you actually go into the HTML and put in these CDL, these directives.
Okay. Does the directives are particular to Angular, right?
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of like regular out-of-the-box directives, but these directives we're talking about are custom-defined ones.
Okay.
For our use.
Right. Okay.
Like, I guess I can really quickly go into the node tree. So I'm back in my terminal now, by the way.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
I'll show you where some of these things are. Most everything you need is going to be app-assets JavaScript's Cordelia IDE, but then he's got a directives folder. And so here are 3 directives. And if I were to pull them up, they don't actually look very exciting. I guess I'll pull up the Passions editor.
Okay.
CDL Passions editor and CDL editable. Okay, so again, this is just like a bunch of gibberish for the most part, but the important part is on line 7. You know how I was saying that there's certain like magic ways that these functions get called?
Yeah.
It's coming on line 7,
yeah.
where it says when you apply this directive, sort of like as an initialization, when this directive gets called on here, call the container.setEditor function.
Yeah.
and that's where it does all this. You see here how I said there was a lot of elements that are like being forced in there. That's
Yeah.
what you see. Their mirrors here.
Yeah,
So
I see. Okay, cool.
and the editable one looks pretty similar. It also has a function that it calls
Okay.
that make editable. So. And then the actual page where all these are being written in, we looked at it in the browser, but let me see if I can find it real quick in the actual code. I think yep, here it is. Going
Yeah.
to be workshop
Yeah.
2.2. And then let's equalize things a little bit. And can't be too far. Actually, I'm going to close that one so we can see a little better. We have a container. Oh, I wasn't seeing it because it's sort of like lightly written. But here it is on line 3 at the end of the line.
Yeah. I
It looks
see.
like it's almost nothing, but there it is. A call to CDL editable.
Okay.
And these divs are stacked from lines 3 to 10. So that's basically doing is capturing lines 4 to 9 as that editable HTML.
I got you.
Where in the controller we're saying, you know, this stuff.html, which captures it, you know, put
Yeah.
that into the editor.
I see. I see. Okay. Cool.
If you want, we can go back and look at the code and the tests.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do that.
Let's try to run one test at least,
Okay.
and then I want to practice on my own, maybe with Viv and the other.
Sure. Container controller spec. Okay. So I don't know if this is even true. Like some of these zip blocks seems he must have written these descriptions really quickly. Is there any
Yeah, very quickly. He did it very quickly. So toward the end of the hangout, so some of them may not be all that robust, but you know.
right? Is there one in particular that you want to look at?
Just the first one.
Okay.
So we say without describe update preview function without a preview. Yeah, that one should not throw an exception.
Okay. I don't know what he means by throw an exception. I mean, if we look over here at the code, we're talking about, you know, line 5 through 9. Then the conditional comes on line 6.
Yes.
And
if it's true.
If it's true, it'll go in and do line 7. But if, for instance, editor hasn't been set yet, one of them will evaluate to true, and the other one will evaluate to null, which in JavaScript, a lot of things, there's a lot of different values, but they all group to either be truthy or falsy. And basically, long story short, it's going to evaluate to be false. So it's one left side's true, right side's false. True and false is false. That's how the logic works. And so there's never going to be an error raised, of course. It just is not going to execute anything. It's going to go into the function, go to the conditional, see that it's false, and then go to the end of the conditional, see that there's nothing else, and then leave the function. So it's not a very exciting test to say it should not throw an exception, because JavaScript very rarely throws exceptions. It just silently fails.
I see.
What we could do instead is spy on scope.preview.html. You know, basically do like the equivalent would be should receive.
Okay.
But in this case, we'll say should not receive.
Okay.
So if we don't have one of the two things in the conditional, scope preview should not receive a call.
Scope preview HTML should not receive a call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to write this, it's probably going to be easier to do on your side. So now that I'm done, like, pointing at a million things, we could switch to working your RubyMine if you want.
Yeah. Can you see me?
Yep. Okay. So,
It'll be line 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
So, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go forward and describe how to do things. Like, I know I've explained you how spies work before, but if you want, I'll just sort of talk my way through it. No, let's go back to RubyMon.
You can actually. Can
You want
I
me to just
type
write it?
in your terminal?
You could, but Vim is weird, and if you're not used to it, you're not going to be like in a typing mode.
Oh, I see what you need to do insert and things like that, right?
That's true. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to do it on
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'll do it. So like right now, just to talk a little bit about Vim. If I hit escape, I'm in, or if I don't hit anything, I'm usually already in this mode. I'm in what's called command mode. Or when I do keys on the keyboard, like right now, I'm hitting J and K, and I'm moving up and down a line. If you want, you can do the same thing. Just hit J and K back and forth a little bit. Yep.
I got you.
Now, there's like a bunch of different ways that you can get into like typing mode, but one of them is to hit the letter I. So just for practice, hit I and then start typing text.
Yeah, and I did play with it, you know, a little bit with Vim. I see insert is now I'm in insert mode, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And
so I could actually type if I wanted it here, like so.
Yep.
Okay.
And now hit escape.
Hit escape on my keyboard. Okay.
Yep. And now you're back in command mode. So go JK, JK again. You'll see that you're going up and down.
Yes.
And now hit U to undo the text that you've written.
Yes.
There's like all these different keyboard things.
Yes.
At first it's weird, but I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so we should we should use a spy on, right?
Yep. And so the way spies work in Jasmine is that you call. Okay, let's make a variable called preview spy equal to, and then the way Jasmine sets it up is you call spy on.
Yes.
And then there's two arguments that are going to be passed into here. The first argument is the object, and the second argument is the function. Okay. So the object is...
Both are necessary, or the second is optional?
Both are necessary.
Okay.
Because ultimately what we're spying on is the second part. We're spying on the function.
Okay.
But the JavaScript doesn't know, or Jasmine doesn't know where to find the function unless you tell it what object to look on.
Okay.
You're basically passing in two arguments. You're just saying, look on the scope.preview object for the HTML method. So I'm going to type that in now. Scope.preview. And up above we have, oh, interesting. It looks like scope is defined with a $sign. Okay. No problem. Scope.preview. And then the second argument is the function, and that gets passed in as a string. This is the way it works in Jasmine. Oh. But we're now listening for that, for any action on this place.
Okay.
Now, when we call a spy like this, we've actually blocked it. It's like calling stub on it.
Okay. Yeah.
If we wanted to like just listen but not block it, you can call and call through. There's also call fake, which you can basically specify another function to call instead. I'm just
Okay.
listing these out here. I don't think they're particularly useful in our case.
Okay.
And that's 2, and I think there's like 6 different things that you can do when you're setting up a spy. But in our case, we don't need to do a lot. We just want to listen
Right.
to that thing. And then let's see here.
So we want to listen and making sure that unless both of those instances are true, then that HTML should not be called, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think. Update preview needs those 2 attributes. What's the best way in a testing environment to set up those 2 attributes? We could just
The attributes you mean scope preview and HTML?
scope preview and scope editor.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I might actually do it before each. Right here.
Okay.
For each function. And what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and define these things for the general test.
Okay.
This equals element. Element for our test suite is defined on line 12 up above.
And line 12.
Yep.
Element, correct. All right. Is that a keyword or that could be anything?
Say that again?
Element is a specific word or?
Good question. Yeah, no, it's actually, we could have called it anything.
Okay.
Yeah, line 11 is setting up the HTML that we need,
Yes.
which is really, really bare bones. It's only a div with a div inside it.
Right, right. Okay.
I think we actually want to do the parent dot parent, I think. Let me check on the test down below because we did this down here.
Yeah, right there. 76.
Yep.
Element.
Scope set editor with the parent. And I'm actually going to just copy this line and up above. Use it right here. So what I hope this is doing, what I'm actually going to do is make a little it block just to test that my little before each has successfully defined scope.preview and scope.editor.
Okay.
Because I'm still new enough at Jasmine and at working with JavaScript that I'm sometimes unsure I've set up my test correctly. So I'm just going to run a quick throwaway test to test my test and make sure that I've done the thing I think I did.
Okay.
I'm just going to have an it. How do I do this? It, it's going to say test. Function. And then I'm just going to expect that scope.preview dot 2 dot, how does this work? B D, what? To be, oh, it's one word. That's why.
To be, yeah, to be
To be
defined,
defined.
yes. Expect the scope preview to be defined. And that would be editor.
Yep. So I'm gonna turn on my server, rake jasmine, and in my browser, I'm gonna go to localhost 8888, and my test is green.
Cool.
If this was more complicated, I would actually like go ahead and comment out sections of my before block and make sure that my test goes red. But I was almost not gonna write this test. I was so stubborn about it. So
All right, cool.
forgive me if I'm a little hasty about that, but I think I've got the background set up correctly.
Indeed.
I'm gonna go D4D. I want to open the line there. So what my before each block did is it defined the two things to make the thing get called.
Right.
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 And let's just get rid of that X.
So describe without a preview. It should not throw an exception. And now we're back to the spy, right?
Yep.
So we're spying
So-
on scope preview HTML. Scope preview HTML.
So what I'm going to do now is call update preview, and I'm actually going to assert the wrong thing on purpose here, just to work through this a little bit slower. Expect. Remember how we wrote this spy?
I see.
Expect spy. Oop, I hit the wrong key there. What's this called? Oh, undo. I'm vimming too hard. Update. Oh no, this is called preview spy. Control N. Expect preview spy. Now the actual assertion we're trying to make here is not.
It should not be called.
Yeah.
Not to have been called. Yes.
Yeah, that's what they call it here.
Yes.
So I'm expecting this to fail because I actually gave it both of the things it needs in its conditional to pass.
Right.
So I'm actually going to change the name of this it block. Let's go back and insert. Okay. Now without a preview.
It should not be called. Well, no.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Oh, not the actual function gets called, but without a preview, well, I could say it directly, editor.setValue should not have been called, but sometimes I think it's better to write expressive descriptions. And so maybe we should say the editable. Okay, so what this line is doing on the right-hand side on line 13 is it's copying the editable HTML into the editor. So without a preview, it should not try to maybe I should just say it directly. Scope.editor.set value. No, I really don't like that though.
No, just
Without a preview. Yeah, even though it's harder, I think I'm going to come up with actual English. Without a preview.
without a
Yeah.
preview, well, the concept is it should not be called. So how can we word
Well,
it in a...
it would. I don't think it would be right to say it should not be called because we're in a describe block named update preview.
Yeah,
And so
Yeah.
update preview gets called when you call update preview. The thing is, the thing that it calls doesn't get called. And the thing that it calls is scope.editor.set value.
yes.
The thing is the way to word that nicely. Without a preview.
Um,
Maybe just being.
it updates HTML in editor or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's good. But the thing
So-
is that it doesn't do that. So I would say it doesn't. This is called. Oh, wait. Which when we're doing update preview? Oh, okay. So yeah,
We
doesn't-
were doing 5 to 7.
yeah. I was skipping down. It doesn't. Give the preview HTML to the editor.
Okay. Yeah. See that this is important. The it block is important because when you got so many, almost the same things, with different names, it's nice to be able to see, read it, and understand it right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Because
without a
sometimes.
preview, it doesn't give the preview HTML to the editor. Bam.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because 3 months from now we might forget exactly how this works, but
Yeah.
if nothing else, you can look at the test.
Right.
So, okay. Now,
However, I want to say something that when I went to localhost and this branch, right,
Mhm.
which is different to what you got in Heroku from
Mhm.
Brian's Heroku. I couldn't see any of this code. In fact, I couldn't even see part 2.
You might have
Anyway,
just been looking in the wrong place.
I already have Heroku. That's fine with me. But
Right.
I was just wondering because I said, where is the code anyway?
We'll find it right now. Let's do Rails S.
Yeah.
So. Oh, you're right. There's no link for Workshop 2.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What happens if I just type Workshop 2 in here?
See, that's what I was getting.
Yeah, it's there, but he removed the link for it. I'm not sure why. So you actually have to type Workshop 2 / part 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was
Okay.
just
So
off the language.
workshop. You put what? Can you put the link in there in the chat?
Mhm. I'll
Please.
put it in the group chat here.
Yeah, because I said, what the heck? I didn't have the Heroku link, so
Yeah.
cool.
All right, so if you can look at my browser, you'll see that the test we wrote is failing because we expected the spy not to have been called, and it did get called.
Okay.
Which happened because in the before each block, I purposely gave it the conditions to make it be true in lines 17, 18.
Scope preview. Okay.
Yep. But so what I would do here, I mean, it's sort of like one of those things where do I set them to true and then make them false for the tests, or do I set them to false and make them true for the tests that need them to be true?
I see what you mean.
So it doesn't really matter which way you go.
Okay.
So I decided to set them both to true, and then what I need to do here is make one of them false. So I can go override the thing I did in the before block. Preview equals, there's a bunch of different things I could pass. I could pass null, I could pass undefined, I could pass false, although it doesn't make sense because it wouldn't normally evaluate to an actual Boolean. But let's go undefined. Before block for that one piece. And then it goes green.
Okay.
Because the spy doesn't get called.
Now, when you declare the variable on line 23, the preview spy, you're using the name of the method, right?
Well, I mean, I could have called this spy anything I wanted to.
Oh, okay. All right. But
I just, yeah.
is that the way you do it usually?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that pass now?
Yep, it passed.
Okay.
Another thing I would probably do is actually make this spy in the before block, because I know that all these tests, all 3 tests here for the update preview are going to need it. So I'm going to take it out of here.
We will make a context? No.
Well,
this is
not a context, but I want to define preview spy up here.
Oh, okay, because it's going to be common to all of them. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Var preview spy. Oops. Control N. So when in JavaScript you, like, if I didn't have line 16 here, preview spy would be defined on the global object.
Yeah, on the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the place I want to tie it to is where I call var.
Okay.
So I didn't want to say var on line 20, because then as soon as I exit this before each function, it would disappear with the end of the function. What I basically want is I want it available for all of the describe blocks, so I defined it there.
Okay.
Now you see up on line 2, Brian did the same thing with some of the things that he wants for the outermost describe block, you know?
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why he did that. But if I were to only use this preview spy in one place, like I had before in my it block, I would use the var inside that it block, because if I wasn't planning on sharing that spy with any other it blocks, I would just call it var there.
All right.
All right, let me save.
Yes.
and commit.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna do some studying of this tonight, so I can maybe resolve one or two more.
Sure, yeah. The other two are going to be pretty similar to this first one.
Yeah.
Alright, I pushed
All
it
right,
up
Johnny.
there.
Cool. Cool. All right, man.
Alright.
How is the proper way to disconnect the teammate?
Control A to go into the leader key or whatever, and then D.
So you mean I do that on my end, right? Control
Yep.
A and then D?
Yep, you do Control A, then you let go and you hit D.
Okay. I'm gonna do it. Control A and then D.
Did it work for you?
I see that it went in there.
Where did it go?
I saw AD and the at the left hand side, lower left hand side. Let me try it again. Control A,
If for you it might be Command A, D.
Command A, D. No. When you told me do Control A, I saw. Am I disconnected from you now? I see
I
you.
don't think so.
Okay.
Just as a sanity check, could you do Control A, N?
Control A and then N.
Yep.
Control A and then N. No.
Okay, try Control B and then N.
Control B and then N. See, I was going through some of these commands. Control A, Control B, the ones that you told me last night.
Mm-hmm.
But they,
Are
and
you sure
the
that you're actually like highlighting? Oh, look, you're in Chrome right now. Try Control A, N. Let's try that again.
Control A and
Okay, try Control B, N.
Control B and no.
Uh,
How
it
weird.
keeps on, when I look at your screen, your thing keeps on saying that you're in Chrome. Click into the terminal, iTerm, yeah. And now try Control B.
Let me bring Chrome into our chat right there. And then
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna hide it behind and I'm gonna go to the terminal.
Okay.
Now Chrome is behind the terminal.
Okay, try Control B, N first this time.
Control B and see, it's typing something in there.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
back it up and try Control A, N.
Maybe it could be Command A, John.
Yeah, it could be. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so Control A is your, or whatever it was it Command A?
Command. Shit. Now I forgot.
Try to do it again.
Okay.
So is that Command A?
Command A. No, Control A and hold on. Control A and N. Control A and N.
Okay. So
Control
same thing, but this time instead of hitting N, hit D.
D as in David.
Yep.
Control A and D.
There you go.
There you go. Perfect. Control A and D. All right. So I think that if you have another active window, that would interfere with.
Yeah, for some reason Chrome kept on grabbing hold of your keyboard.
Yes. Yes. All right, Johnny. I need to
Okay.
get some dinner.
Okay, talk to you
All
later.
right, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.